The ideal time to graft is in the winter, preferably here, February, January, February. The ideal thing is to have the understock moving and to have your scion dormant. That's the best scenario you can have. The second best scenario is to have both of them dormant. The worst scenario is if they're both moving, because I don't know how old everybody is, but the old Andy Granatelli STP, where you used to take the screwdriver and you couldn't hold it, that's exactly what happens with this. The sap is moving so fast, and the sap is moving also on the scion, that it just slips out. Then you have to tie it too tight, just to get it to not slip out. So so what I used to do when I did a lot of these is that I used to put all the understock in the greenhouse. And I used to take all my junipers, the tissues, and put them on the north side of the house in the shade. And then I started in January. So thank you for that question. I just told you not to put one on top, but this is going to be the apex. So I need it to go on top.
Where is it? I can't find it.
And what happens is when I carve this and I cut it, it's perfectly square. And then you can see the little horseshoe here. I don't know. Horseshoe there?
Yeah, I'm getting
And by scraping the back end, oh, I'm sorry, can't get it?
Wait, don't move it. I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
By scraping the back end, it becomes square. Because my knife is square, and so when I finish putting it in here, I can just feed it in here, and it stops right where it's square.
You cut both sides down, tapered both sides, the front and the back, and then
Yes.
squared the edge?
Yes.
At the end?
So, so when I do the scion, I cut this part like this, and so it has this little horseshoe. And then on this side, I just keep whittling away until this gets square.
In which layer do you put
I put it in the last one.
The last one,
Yeah,
nearest the root.
nearest the outside trunk.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people think that it's the opposite, but because of the way the sap flows, the tree is going, it feeds down, and it comes underneath, and then it comes up, and it comes on the top. So you always put it on the last one, the outside one. Because you cut this off anyway, so there's no sap flowing this way to the scion. It's only flowing from the top. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to show you on this. So I can stop it here. But that's basically about as far as I want the cut to stop at because of the length of the scion. And then I make the second cut, and it stops at the same place because that's where the tension will be greater. Then I take the third cut, and it also stops at the same place. So then I just have to find a piece that's about that size that I can match. So this piece is about the same size as this width of this branch. So this has two of them, so I can put a top and a bottom kind of thing. So I will Actually, we need to work a little faster, but, because the more the scion is exposed and the understock is exposed, it doesn't work.
Question, Frank. Frank,
Mhm.
does the saliva make any difference to it?
The saliva? Yeah, that's what I told you. I lick it. Actually, what happens is, Mr. Ishii's knives are so sharp that when he finishes cutting, there's no pieces left. My knife is not quite that sharp, so there's sometimes a little residue that's left. And so when I take it and I go like that, it comes off. So. The other thing is when I put this scion in here, it stops, it locks it in here pretty tight. So I don't have to worry about moving it out or having it like that.
Which of the 3 cuts did you put it into?
I put it in the last one. So when when I first started, I thought, well, if I do a few of these, I'll be very happy. And then Mr. Ishii said, well, you're not going to get any good unless you do 300 or 400 or 500 a year. So he said, if you do 50 of them, he said, in 10 years you've done 500 grafts. He said, you'll never get good that way. So for a while I had, about 500 of these little things. That's why I have so many of those laying around the house now. Didn't know what to do with all of them. So that's basically how you put it on. I don't know if you saw it, were able to see it, but. And then I'll just, I got to put some seal on there. So I use, I used to use a screwdriver, because that's what Mr. Ishii used, but now I get one of those David Rochester chopsticks.
That's not bad.
You can't see that, huh?
There you go.
What's the name of is that the seal?
I don't know the name. It's in Japanese. So they sell it now in the United States. Before you could only get it in Japan. I used to use Top Gin, which was a little different. It was orange, but that's mainly for deciduous trees. You can put it on. These are mainly for conifers. It has sulfur in it. It has sulfur in it.
So,
Yeah. So it's got a medication in it. So anyway, that's kind of the seal inside.
Yeah, I got it while you were putting it in.
So all we need to do is kind of weaken this part a little bit because we know the top of the tree is apical and it's more top dominant. So we don't want the nutrients to fly past our scion. So we kind of leave it like that. I'll just show you how we bag these. I'm just looking at the size.
how long do you anticipate leaving the covers, once you put the cover in and on?
The question is, how long do we leave this on? Well, what we do is this is right now brown. The foliage is kind of brownish. It's kind of has this winter tinge. When this starts to turn real yellow, that means it's starting to swell and work. And as this starts to grow, then we take scissors and we punch little holes in the bag. Usually about 6 weeks to 2 months after this graft is done, so like March. And then a couple weeks later, we would take a chopstick and make it like chopstick size hole. And then the next, we use our fingers and And after a course of about 2 more months, the bag is all kind of shredded up and it's exposed to the air, and then we take it off. And then after that, the ribbon, just keep watching the scion, and if it starts to choke in, then we would take the ribbon off. But otherwise, this ribbon can stay on. Okay, so I'm just going to put this one bag on, and then you guys can come up and see this, and I'm not going to take the time to do all this, but this is just sphagnum moss. I use this real expensive stuff now. I don't know. I think I went to Lowe's and they didn't have the regular sphagnum moss. So I got this orchid sphagnum moss, but it's pretty expensive. But it works really good. So you just put the bag on like this. And by the time we go ahead and do the workshop, this will start, the heat just in this room will start condensing this water in here. And so that's how we do that.